We are heading to Peru now for APEC, where Prime Minister Chris Luxon has met with China's President Xi Jinping for the first time. Jack Tame is covering APEC after doing such a great job with the US elections. Jack, welcome to your own show. How did the meeting between Xi Jinping and Christopher Luxon go?
John Campbell, wonderful to be speaking with you. We actually thought instead of standing outside the convention centre where APEC's been held over the last couple of days, JC, just for you, we would come somewhere with a little bit more ambience. So welcome to Parque Kennedy in the Miraflores district in Lima. Look, it has been a really busy couple of days for the Prime Minister. He has had meeting after official event, after meeting, after official event, but absolute top of the priority list for the New Zealand delegation and Christopher Luxon was, of course, his formal bilateral meeting with Xi Jinping. All up, they had about 20 minutes together. Take a look at these pics. This is the Prime Minister meeting Xi Jinping in person for the first time. And the way these bilateral meetings work is that the media is in the room for a couple of minutes while each party makes opening remarks. Those remarks are public, and then after that, the media gets booted out and they have a private conversation. It was very interesting because, of course, those private remarks are very carefully considered. They are very deliberate remarks. Every single word has been checked and rechecked, all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed. And Xi Jinping spoke first. He said to Christopher Luxon, with all of the media present, "I commend your efforts." But then afterwards, when we had an opportunity to catch up with Christopher Luxon, he said, as per usual, as per most bilateral meetings with China, it was an opportunity to talk about our country's shared interests. Of course, China is very comfortably New Zealand's largest trading partner, but it was also an opportunity to express some of our differences. For New Zealand, that meant raising some concerns about China's role in increasing tensions within the Pacific region, but it was also an opportunity for China to raise some of the concerns it has with New Zealand's conduct. And today, John, we learned a little bit more about what Xi Jinping had to say. When I asked Christopher Luxon what concerns China had about New Zealand's conduct, here's how the Prime Minister responded.
Well, look, I mean, they have concerns around, what they see as, tension in the region that's coming from the US or what's coming through AUKUS and other things, which they've raised consistently with us. And the same way we raise a number of things consistently with them about tensions in the South China Sea.
What do they say to you about AUKUS?
Oh no, they just raise it as one of their concerns, which is they don't particularly see that as a positive from their perspective in the region. We would disagree. We think it does give regional stability and security. As you know, we're in a very early stage still of exploring. That's still at the officials level. It's still going very slowly. But we also do that in a very mature way. And in fairness, that's no different from how I would talk to Australia about 501s, where we have differences as well. And I think if you've got trust in a relationship, you actually should be able to raise those differences.
See, very interesting, right, to hear the Prime Minister say New Zealand does see AUKUS as contributing to regional security. In a sense, it does see AUKUS as being positive, whereas obviously China has some concerns about AUKUS. But despite those points of contention, if you like, obviously there was a lot to agree on. The Prime Minister confirming afterwards that China had extended a formal invitation for him to visit China, so he's going to be doing that in the first part of next year.
Who else has the Prime Minister been talking to, Jack? Obviously bilaterals galore. Any significant meetings?
Yeah, so you got the bilaterals, which are the formal ones when they sit down in a room and they do the big handshake and they have their respective delegations, they make their opening remarks, all that kind of thing. As well as that, you have various informal pull-asides. So Christopher Luxon has been busy, really busy. He confirmed to us this morning that he's spoken to leaders of all 21 APEC economies over the last couple of days. He had a bit of an opportunity to speak to US President Joe Biden. He said he'd simply thank Joe Biden for his service over the last many decades. And we asked him whether or not the recent election was front of mind in that conversation. He said it was there, but they weren't really specifically talking about it. That being said, it's really intriguing to consider the kaupapa of APEC, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the role that trade, free trade and economic cooperation plays for all of these different APEC economies. And there's one almighty elephant in the room for APEC this year. Donald Trump and his pre-election policy to introduce blanket tariffs that would affect all APEC nations. Interestingly, today Christopher Luxon told us that not a single leader had specifically raised the spectre of tariffs. No one had specifically raised it. However, there has been so much talk about protectionism and about barriers to trade going up. It's certainly been referenced, if not necessarily directly. But I wanted to share something with you. Over the last few days, we've noticed various little things around the APEC venue that have drawn our attention to some of the concerns around protectionism. Have a look at this. This is a cartoon that was shared in a China daily newspaper. Now, China daily newspapers have been left all around the APEC venue. So even though perhaps countries aren't specifically mentioning Donald Trump and his election campaign promise, certainly the spectre of tariffs is on every APEC economy's mind.
Some fascinating interviews on Q&A last week or the week before, Jack, about exactly that subject. It's worth going back and seeing them if you missed them. Thanks, Jack. Lovely to talk to you. Safe travels home. When are you back?
I am back Tuesday morning New Zealand time. We're going the long way around. The Prime Minister's going to be on Monday, so he will be in New Zealand when the hikoi arrives in Parliament. We don't know yet whether or not he's going to be meeting it. He says he'll make a call when he's on the ground.